So I get so many emails about this that it would take up an incredible amount of bandwidth for me to answer all the emails about carnivore diet. So is carnivore keto? What are your thoughts on carnivore? Just questions about carnivore in general. Is it healthy? So before we begin, maybe I know you told me that you did the carnivore diet. I forget for how long. So
30 days.
30 days, and what was your experience with it?
So from a personal N-of-1 experiment, I actually loved it. It was very intuitive. I felt very satiated. I didn't have to think about food all day. My performance in the gym was actually really good if I took electrolytes beforehand. So I really noticed the difference between not having salt pre-workout and having salt pre-workout. So that was the biggest thing that I noticed. Productivity-wise, it was great because, like I said, I wasn't thinking about food all day. And I felt great. Like I wasn't bloated. There was no foods that really upset my stomach. So yeah, overall it was a good experience.
What were your ketone levels? I know you check.
Yeah, so every morning, they would be pretty low right when I woke up, so around like 0.4, but then by like 10 a.m. they'd be around 0.8, and then they'd keep going up, and I wouldn't eat my first meal until around noon, and by that point they were probably above 1.
Okay.
But yeah, every day I was in ketosis, and I was not paying attention to how much protein or fat I was eating. So yeah, it was very just intuitive eating, but I was still in ketosis.
So you don't know what the ratios were?
No.
Right, okay. So I just had some notes down on the carnivore diet. So, and then I analyzed my own diet, and I realized that I'm kind of eating a carnivore diet, excluding dinner. So my last meal of the day incorporates vegetables. And here's my notes on carnivore. So generally speaking, I'm not a big advocate of diets that omit or eliminate plants. So I know this is a bit of a controversial subject, at least within the carnivore tribe. But I feel I've done a number of things that have convinced me that it's a bad idea to eliminate fibrous carbohydrates, another term for plants, from my diet. So if I have a fatty steak with a salad, that decreases my glycemic response to that meal. I think it decreases the insulin response to the protein. So I've documented this many times over, a steak with and without a salad. So essentially raw vegetables. So I view raw vegetables, whether it's or lightly cooked vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, things like that, as a means to deliver more fat. So you're delivering fat and fiber, two things that we know decrease the extend gastric emptying. So they delay gastric emptying and they decrease the glycemic response of the meal. So this is like really important. And I feel that my protein digestion and digestion overall is improved with plants, if I incorporate plants in the form of salads or sauteed vegetables. For some people, I understand that they have sensitivity to vegetables, like your friend who couldn't eat lettuce, had a reaction to lettuce. That's not the norm, and I think that most people, 99% of people, I would argue, can tolerate lettuce and greens. And I think there's so many micronutrient benefits to things like broccoli and salads, and from a fiber perspective, but from a ketogenic diet perspective, it's a way to deliver fat, electrolytes, and delay gastric absorption to attenuate the rise in glucose and insulin associated with eating carnivore. And I think the phytonutrients really protect the body and the gut from potential even carcinogens that could arise from cooked meat, especially charred meat. So that's kind of my thoughts. You might not want to have a big ass salad like Mark Sisson and others. I think maybe Peter Attia, talk about having a big ass salad, which I did for a while, but the amount of vegetables that I've been eating over the last year have basically decreased just for practical reasons. And sometimes I just have a little bit of a garnish on the side of some greens with my steak, but I do believe that having some vegetables, ideally in the form of raw vegetables is ideal with people who want to follow a paleo ketogenic diet. So I have a lot of questions like, what's the difference between paleo and ketogenic and Mediterranean? And I think a paleo version of the ketogenic diet may be optimal, one that excludes or minimizes dairy, and that has been a topic. Paleo Medicina from Hungary. It's a group that we hope to visit pretty soon in our trip to Europe. They have been really advocating for a ketogenic, almost carnivore.
Yeah, it
diet,
is carnivore.
Really. It's a carnivore-like diet. So they just have a different term for it, and the research that they're doing is pretty amazing. And advocating for this approach.
Pretty remarkable.
But when it comes to the gym, your performance did not decrease as long as your protein,
Yeah.
And you do intermittent fasting with it.
It was a very intuitive way to intermittent fast.
Yeah.
Just listening to my hunger signals.
Yep.
Yeah.
So once again, like I think the carnivore diet has many benefits. I do not advocate for a diet that eliminates or even minimizes plants. And I have to admit that my diet really throughout the day, prior to maybe 6 or 7 p.m. is carnivore. Like I wake up, my first meal today, I haven't eaten yet really, but my first meal when I do eat is typically eggs or fish or chicken or beef, and without any kind of plants. And then at dinner time, we have vegetables and usually a salad, not as big as it used to be, and some kind of fatty fish, poultry, or beef. And I've been eating a lot of U.S. wellness meats. So we have Butcher Box, and we buy locally, but U.S. wellness meats makes it extremely easy to eat keto carnivore, because they have, for example, I ate ground hard that was mixed with beef fat, and it was something like 55% fat, and they have liverwurst, they have kidney, they have fatty cuts of pemmican, with no carbohydrates in it. So these are foods that are really hard to find, and foods that are purely ketogenic
and nutritious, very
nutritious.
And
yeah, the nutritional density is higher than really any kind of diet, and that's when true nose to tail eating organ meats and things like that. I mean, the nutritional density of this is higher than any diet that I'm aware of.
Totally.
The calories can be higher too with fat, but there's a lot of essential fats. There's a lot of really good fats associated with eating these animal products.
Yep. Great. What about the carnivore diet as an elimination diet? So for people who are trying to figure out what's triggering their autoimmunity or
well,
symptoms.
That's a very good question. So the ketogenic diet is a form of an elimination diet, and the carnivore diet is an elimination diet. So you are essentially eliminating potential immunogenic constituents of your diet that may be activating your immune system, impairing your gut function in some way. We don't know for sure, but I do know from the amount of email that I get that the carnivore diet and the ketogenic diet have cured or put into remission a whole host of autoimmune related disorders, from Hashimoto's syndrome to celiac disease to like so many different autoimmune disorders. From eczema, there's a whole list of things that people have reported, and with data to back it up, beneficial therapeutic effects of these elimination diets. So the carnivore diet is a true elimination diet. It's very restricted. Well, it doesn't really have to be, but because you told me, she was educating me, I guess you can have fish, chicken, beef, organ meats, eggs you can have on a ketogenic or a carnivore diet, and a little bit of dairy too. So I was thinking, coming in, I remember I wrote down, I'm going to talk about carnivore diet, and I had some cheddar cheese on my eggs, and thinking, well, that's not carnivore, but I guess you can have a little bit of dairy.
Yeah, I think people, depending on what they're trying to heal or how responsive they are to dairy, then I think that dictates whether you have it in your diet or not. But some people have it.
But Yeah, I think, generally speaking, I think it's a diet that I think has a lot of utility and a lot of applications. It's not something that I would advocate as a long-term approach. Perhaps doing 1 week out of the month of carnivore could be a solution to many people's health problems. And I know, periodically therapeutically fasting, or even a ketogenic diet intermittently, periodically, I think has a lot of benefits.